The biggest day in Hong Kong racing comes up this Sunday at Sha Tin, the Longines Hong Kong International Races, where 51 horses from 6 different countries will be competing for 84.5 million Hong Kong dollars in prize money. Here's exactly what we've got coming up on HK Direct today. Tim Carroll, international racing expert, is here to preview all 4 Group 1 events. Plus, we're also going to be looking back on Silent Witness's memorable moment in the 2004 Hong Kong Sprint. And I'm pleased to say Tim Carroll's here in the studio. Tim, it's always a big week here in Hong Kong. Good to see you again. It all started off, of course, on Wednesday night and Zac Purton taking out the International Jockeys Championship. Yeah, it's a wonderful week coming up, and thanks for having me. It's a real joy to be here. I love this meeting, apart from the fact that we've got a week of festivities, Happy Valley, what a brilliant racetrack. But one of the things I really like about the international meeting is the epitome of international racing. As you mentioned, we've got horses from all across the globe. It's going to be brilliant. It was the human stars that shone too on Wednesday night. European-based riders performing very well in Silvestre de Sousa and also in Pierre-Charles Boudot. But it was Zac Purton who wasn't that confident going into the series that was the victor. Yeah, I think he was around about 20-25 to 1 to actually win the International Jockeys Challenge. But we all know how good he is. I think it was his first win at 5 attempts. But he's the sort of rider, when you have a look at his record here at Hong Kong and before he came here in Australia, I think he's the sort of rider that deserves to have that next to his name. And he did very well. Absolutely. Of course, he's won a Jockeys Championship in Japan. But what did it mean to him to win here in Hong Kong?
I haven't drawn very good horses in this series. It just seems to be a running theme year on year, but you know, I had a chance there probably 5 or 6 years ago to win it, and you know, I had it all bar on the line. I got beat a nose on the line by the only jockey that could knock me off that night, so I was hoping it wasn't going to be deja vu again tonight. Yeah. But it's pleasing to get the result at home in front of, you know, my home crowd and put my name on the trophy.
2 wins on the night, then for Zac to take out that International Jockeys Championship. So that just whet the appetite for what we've got coming up on Sunday. You've picked out a horse in each of the 4 races that you're quite keen on come Sunday. Let's start off with the Vase, and it's a race that the international horses have always done particularly well in. Highland Reel, this is going to be his last race. He's beaten on this occasion in the Breeders' Cup Turf by Talismanic, the horse in the Godolphin colours. But you believe he can turn the tables this time? I think he can. I think Sha Tin will suit him far better than what Delmar did. He's got a turn of foot, but it's not a massive turn of foot. He's more of a strong galloping type who finds plenty under pressure. And I think here Talismanic just out-sprinted him. No doubt Talismanic will take some beating as well. This was his first Group 1 victory. It was actually his first time on quick ground or on firm ground. He'd been on good ground in Europe, but as we know, that's completely different to quick ground in America. And even though he's a 4-year-old with 16-odd starts to his name, potentially on this sort of ground there might be more to come. But I think on this nice straight here at Sha Tin, I think it's going to really suit Highland Reel. And as we know, he's already got a good record in the race. And he's been a great horse for the Ballytoyle team too, hasn't he? Oh yeah, he's been wonderful. He's got more frequent flyer miles than any person I know. He's won 6 Group 1s all around the world. And I think it would be a wonderful touch, a nice story too, on his final start here in Hong Kong, where he's already been to twice. If he was to go out on a winning note, I just think it'd be a very nice way to end the story. The Sprint's a race that Hong Kong horses have excelled in. 7 of the last 10 winners have come from the home team. You've picked a local horse too for this year's Sprint. I like Lucky Bubbles, second in the race last year. I think he's a cracking sprinter, and I know there are some good sprinters in the race, and it's going to be a really good contest. But Lucky Bubbles, if you have a look at his last run, I don't think I've ever seen a horse get into that much trouble over 6 furlongs before, so we can forget that. And his previous form was very good. Hugh Bowman rides him only for the 2nd time, and as we know, he won a Group 1 on him, the Chairman's, earlier in the year. I think also that the draw in 1 is interesting. It could be a blessing. It might not be. I suppose we'll find out on Sunday. But I think potentially he'll sit a lot closer. He got too far back last year. I think he'll sit a lot closer. There'll be speed there, as there normally is. I think he'll sit a lot closer to the speed this year. And if he has a little bit of luck this time, I really do think he's the horse to beat. OK, up against the likes of Mr Stunning. What about the European representation, though? The likes of Signs of Blessing, the right man? Signs of Blessing was a brilliant run in this last year. He drew on the outside and they had to ride him cold, drop him back to the tail of the field, and that's not his go. Normally he goes forward. He's got plenty of speed. I actually expect him to be in the first 3 or 4 on Sunday. He's a little bit hit and miss. He can be cabbage one day and then he can be caviar the next. If he's caviar on Sunday, he'll be right there.
That just puts me off a little bit. But he's got a lot better draw this year. He's certainly, well, actually, he's got form on top of the ground and on soft ground, but I think he's better on top of the ground. I'd definitely give him a chance, but like I said, he's not necessarily the most consistent horse, but he does have a lot of ability.
On to the mile then, and back to Delmar we go for this replay, and also back to the Coolmore team. Lancaster Bomber, the winner of only one race, but he's run some big races in defeat in top events.
Yeah, the mile looks very open on paper this year, but this is one of my main bets on the card. I really like Lancaster Bomber in this. It puts people off a little bit. As you said, he's only ever won a maiden. I think it was at Leopardstown in 2016, just over a year ago. But he's kept some pretty good company. In that time, he's been just in behind horses like Churchill, when Churchill was really firing, Barney Roy as well. And if you have a look at his last couple of runs in America, they've been behind a horse called World Approval. Now, World Approval at the moment is on the second line of the betting for the Queen Anne at Royal Ascot next year, behind a horse by the name of Winx. So that's how highly people rate that horse. He's brilliant. But the thing about Lancaster Bomber, he might have only won once, but if you have a look at his form on top of the ground, on firm ground, it's exceptionally good. I think he'll take a lot of beating, and out of all 4 races, I think he's the horse that's going to be most overpriced on the tote on Sunday. OK, so a bit of confidence there with you about Lancaster Bomber. He'll be taking on a strong Hong Kong team in the race. The Hong Kong horses have done very well, winning the 9 of the last 10 renewal of this race. And Joe Moreira is going to be riding one of the main chances in Season's Bloom.
I believe so. Then he figured out that he likes to be fresh, so we've been keeping him as fresh as we could. I've galloped him yesterday and he gave me such a great feel again. He's as good as ever, if not better. And he's the last time winner. He won the leading up race for this race on Sunday, and I couldn't be any more confident than what I am with him. So he's a very nice horse upcoming, and he's another one that I won't be surprised if he wins.
Joe knows what it takes to win this race too, having won it on Able Friend a few years ago. Lancaster Bomber, though, the one to cause a bit of an upset for you here, Tim?
I think so. I really do think he's been underestimated in this, and especially, I'll make that point again, especially on top of the ground, firm ground, it's exactly what he needs. I'm so glad to see him here, because I really do think the ground and Sha Tin's going to suit him down to the ground. Sticking with the Joe theme then, and Neorealism, we saw him win the QE2 earlier on in the season. He beat Werther, who's the proven top-class middle-distance horse. There's Neorealism, here is Werther. So we're going back to earlier on in the season, and you're going for him to win another Group 1 over the 2000 at Sha Tin. Yeah, I think he'll take a lot of beating. Also on his CV in Japan, he's got a win against Maurice. Now, any horse that's beaten horses like Werther and Maurice must have a fair bit going for them. He did bomb last time out in Japan, but that was on very testing ground, and he hates it. He needs to be on top of the ground, so I expect him to bounce back on the weekend. I'm not sure that he'll lead like he did here, but he'll certainly be in the first few. He'll be right up there. He'll be in a good spot. I think he'll take a lot of beating, but I've got to admit, in the Cup, I thought it was the most difficult race to pick the winner. Yeah, obviously, you've got horses like Poet's World, Deauville there as well, a few of the Travellers, but this horse has been here before. He's put the runs on the board, and as I mentioned a moment ago, he's beaten some very good horses, and if he's at the top of his game, he'll take a lot of beating. OK, so a strong push there for Neorealism, but Tony Cruz has won this race twice in the past with California Memory, and this year he saddles up Time Warp.
Yes, Time Warp will stand a great chance because, you know, his sire's Akipanko. He won here about in the year 2008. I believe he can do the same thing too. But this time he's better off just going to the front, and nobody bothers him. I think you can surprise everybody. OK, sure thing there from Tony. He thinks the Time Warp can run a decent race at a decent price. He's a former Sir Mark Prescott horse, in actual fact, who won 5 races in the UK and France. Have you got him in your picks? He's not in my top 3, but it wouldn't surprise me if he hit the frame, because I think he's an improving horse over here in Hong Kong, so I'd certainly give him a chance. I mean, all of these races have some very good horses in them, so you wouldn't be so, apart from maybe a few exceptions, it wouldn't surprise you, whatever may come out and win on Sunday. But I'd give him a good each-way chance. OK, so Neorealism up the top. What would be your top 3, though? Well, I'd put Neorealism on top. I'd put Poet's World in for second. And Deauville, if you can forgive his last run, which was very disappointing at Woodbine, before that, in the context of this contest, his form's very solid, but he was very disappointing last time out. But he's trained by the great man, Aidan O'Brien. It'd be no surprise to me if he bounced back here.
OK, that's our look then at what we've got coming up on Sunday, what's going to be a super day of racing at Sha Tin. But over the last few weeks here on HK Direct, we've been looking back at some memorable moments at the international meeting, and we're going to go back to one of the more memorable ones in 2004 when Silent Witness won his second Hong Kong sprint. This is a story as told by Jenny Chapman.
Hong Kong was going through SARS at the time, and I think everyone was looking for a hero, and he really stepped up to the plate and made people feel good about themselves here in Hong Kong, whilst it was a pretty scary time.
He's a cracking type of horse too, as big and strong a horse as you're likely to see anywhere. Looks very, very well in himself, just getting a fraction warm, but certainly not getting wound up in any way. He's just what you want a sprinter to look like. Big, powerful individual. Hopefully he'll win.
He was a little bit on the arrogant side, the horse himself, but I think that just showed in how good he was as well. He just knew he was good, and everyone got a great run for their money every time he stepped out.
The world watching before big races, but there's no doubt this is the one that everybody is watching. He's running for history, for a dual victory. Hong Kong sprint. Felballon did it a few years back. Well, this guy is rated the best in the world. We're just about ready. And they're away. Silent Witness has jumped very well. Pivotal Point away quite nicely. Multi-Dandy out wide has begun very well. Also VAR trying to get just behind him as Pivotal Point leads up Silent Witness. Multi-Dandy, Able Prince right there. Osterhays in the middle. VAR just off them. Kelston Lido about a length off the lead. Pivotal Point the inside. Yell about 3 off the front runners. Next, Sunningdale, Cape of Good Hope. In between them, trying to pick up is Sunningdale, the Tapling, and fading back last Royal Millennium. It's Multi-Dandy on the outside of Natural Blitz. They're the leaders at the quarter pole. Next then came on the outside, Able Prince. VAR trying to pick up. Right there, Multi-Dandy. Silent Witness goes under Natural Blitz. Natural Blitz runs for his life, but the great champion Silent Witness darts to the front. This is all over. He's toying with them. This is unbelievable. Silent Witness 2 in front. Cape of Good Hope, Natural Blitz. Able Prince trying hard. The world champion wins in a canter. He's too good, Silent Witness.
The ride with Silent Witness was incredible because the crowd loved him. He was just, one of the all-time best ever horses here in Hong Kong. And just to be experiencing that situation was extraordinary.
That was his 13th win and a winning streak that ended up with 17 straight wins. In racing, the word champion, Tim, probably gets used a bit too frequently, but it's certainly apt for describing Silent Witness.
Oh, absolutely. He was a freak of an animal. Brilliant. And as we saw there, he treated some very good sprinters with contempt, and here in Hong Kong for many a year now the sprinters have been some of the best in the world, and to win 17 races in Hong Kong over sprint trips, I don't think we'll ever see it again here.
You've been following Hong Kong racing for a long time, and also this meeting in particular. Is there a memorable moment for you?
Oh, look, there's so many. You asked me this before we did the show, and I thought, goodness, I could give you a list of about 20. From a sentimental point of view, Good Barbar winning his 3rd Hong Kong mile, I thought that was brilliant. But if you're talking about sheer brilliance, something that took my breath away, 2013, the Japanese horse, Lord Kanaloa, when he won the sprint here, and it was his 2nd victory, he had horses like Soul Power, Jawala, Lucky Nines, Rich Tapestry in behind him, and he accelerated about a furlong out, and he left some brilliant sprinters standing still, and again, he made them look second-rate, and they were not second-rate horses. I think Timeform put a rating of about 131 on it, and I remember watching it and thinking, gee, that's like watching Black Caviar. So from a sheer brilliance perspective, it would have to be Lord Kanaloa 2013 in the sprint.
It's certainly a race that's had plenty of memorable moments. The Hong Kong sprint in there, a couple, Lord Kanaloa and Silent Witness. But we're almost out of time on today's edition of HK Direct. Super Day coming up on Sunday, the biggest of the year here in Hong Kong, and the coverage starts with the trackside team at 11:55. The first of the big ones is the Longines Hong Kong Vase at 2 o'clock. Then the sprint at 2:40. The miles at 3:50, and then the richest race in Hong Kong, the Longines Hong Kong Cup, is at 4:30. For more information for the fields, the form, everything you need to find a winner on the day, go to the website hkjc.com, and Twitter as well to follow all of the action on social media at HKJC_racing. Tim, it's been a pleasure having you in the studio. Great to see you, and all the best for Sunday.
Thanks very much, Ed. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Can't wait for what's going to be a memorable day of racing coming up on Sunday at Sha Tin. Join us for the coverage of the Turf World Championships.